What was those early years like between you completing your doctoral studies and then starting on that journey from being, what did you start out? You started out as a lecturer? Yeah, so from those early years, what was that like? Because I can imagine that you probably weren't living your life same as other people. Just give us a flavor of like some of the things that you were doing differently.
Oh, good. I like that. So I was coming there. I'm not part of it. So maybe I talk too much. I don't have so much time. But it's so one of the things I did, and that's very important because while I navigated the process from PhD student to professor, it's a lot of things I was definitely doing. I always tell people that I was working very smart as well. So not just working hard, but working smart. So I knew exactly what I wanted to achieve. So although I was talking about maybe serendipity and all that, of course I didn't plan it. But while I got into that position, I made up my mind that I was going to achieve the heights, because I always strongly believe that everything you do, you need to be the best of everything you do. I remember when I started my PhD then, a lot of people were saying that, oh, it's going to take you 7 years to get this done. Because that was what was there. According to the PhD loan, I saw everybody there.
7 years?
But they had been there for like 7 years, 5 years, because then they didn't used to push people out, but now things have changed. I told myself I'm going to do this in 2.5 years. And from the beginning, that was all that, and I did it within that period of time as well. Because I had a plan. So for me, it's important that you know what you're trying to do and you have a plan of getting there. And that plan that has always been like, in everything I do, there's always a plan. How am I going to get it done? I always tell my PhD students, even people I mentor as well, you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan. So you need to plan and try to see how you can get to that plan. So for me, that was very important. And I always knew that what do I require for the next job? So as a lecturer, I want to become a professor. What are those things that people are looking for? What are those things I need to achieve? How many papers do I need to publish? How much do I need to print? What kind of leadership roles do I need to be able to get? So right from the beginning, I always know the next step. So I always plan ahead. So I think that's very important for any career, because I know sometimes you go for interviews and you say, yes, okay, I didn't get it. But you have to ask yourself, do you have a portfolio to get this job? What do you need to get as a senior lecturer? How many papers do you need to publish? Where do those papers need to be ranked?
Yeah, so can we just unpack like what you just said? Because you said something around like, you knew that there was like, I don't know, like a certain number of papers that you had to write to make professorship. And obviously, one of the things that I shared about you earlier was that you had written like over 100 publications. So can you talk a little bit like, what is your process for turning your side projects into publication? Like, how would you explain it to someone that is maybe only just trying to publish that first conference paper?
Good. Thank you for that. Okay, so for publications, that's important. I mean, they always say that publish or perish. One thing is, as an academic, especially if you want to become a professor, you need to be able to try to write. And that's why I always tell my colleagues, as PhD students, don't tell the PhD students not to write. Right from, you should start publishing even from their thesis. Or while they are doing a PhD, so when I have PhD students, I always tell them, make sure how many papers are you going to publish before you finish your PhD. I have one of my students had up to 3 papers before the PhD, and by the time the paper was done, it was like 45 minutes. So you need that process. But for me personally, it's important that I get those papers out. And one of the things I tend to do is, right from the beginning, I know I have a research career plan. I know the number of papers, and I know the papers that I'm going to write within that space. So yes, because it's not easy to write all those things that you say that you write. And it's all about planning and knowing the kind of papers that you want. So within this year, how many papers am I going to write, how many books am I planning to write. And at the end, it's not just about you doing it, the collaboration is important. To be fair, many of my publications are not just me. It's always about how you can work with people. So I work with my PhD students, I work with other scholars from different parts of the world as well. Luckily for me, many people reach out to me, so I don't have to reach out to a lot of people. But the problem with that is sometimes as well, it becomes very hectic because you don't always feel people, and so that you don't have the time to work with people. So it's important that you're able to do that, because at the end, it's only you writing, it's becoming very difficult. So, but you can't publish in 4-star or 3-star without at least starting from somewhere. That's why I like what you said about the conference papers. So in my earlier years, the first step was conferencing, and my first conference was in the British Academy of Management, and I think that was 14 years ago now, or something. Was it 13 years ago? But I've not missed one to date. So from doing that, so conferences help you. With the conference, you're able to write something, because you can't publish if you're not valid. You can't publish, and that's why for somebody that reads and has led the ref, I know that you can't get a very high publication if you don't start from somewhere. So it's always good. I always advise people, early career researchers, start from the conference. Start writing something. Then the more you write, the better you get at it. So I always, when I look at my PhD now, I ask myself a question: why do you want to put this? Because it doesn't look fantastic to me. So we don't be something arrogant, but just a fact. I always tell people, if what you read or what you wrote 5 years ago still looks great to you, it means that it's not improved. So you get better in writing by writing. So it's a continuous process. So one of the things I do, I try to write every day as well. So I try to write something, because that was really getting part of it. I know a colleague that tells us to write like 500 words every day. So it might not be the best way to, it might not work for everybody, but it's always getting into the process. So for people that want to write, start from somewhere. Don't be afraid to start writing, because the more you write, the better you get at it. And have a plan of the number of papers that you think you want to get out there. Work with people as well. Don't be afraid to work with people. I've seen fabulous papers. I've been involved in papers that are like 8, 6, 7 months. So there are things you can do. But for PhD students, please don't start working on other papers beyond your PhD for now. Get your PhD out there and try to get the papers from the PhD, work with your supervisors. But as you go, definitely you have to work with other people. And that's what I've done, by the way.
So basically what you're saying is have a plan, have a routine, and start writing.
So nice, very well.
Amazing.